Hey, this is Scooter Pie, and welcome to another episode of Scooter Pie Talks About Horror Movies. So I wanted to talk about the movie I watched last night for number 20, which is, drumroll, a slow drum roll, 1986's Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. The buzz is back.
Oh. Everybody calls Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 horror comedy, but contains a great deal of horror stuff, man. So I'm going to try to do some linear thoughts about this movie that I love. I love it a lot. It's really fun. So now, gather around as I tell you the tale of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. Jerky guys, they call this radio station the cool 80s horrific DJ named Stretch. And they go, "Can you play You're on the Road to Nowhere?" She says, "You mean You're on the Road to Nowhere?" And they say, or "We're on the road to nowhere." And they say, "No, you're, ha." And the one has a gun, but all of a sudden this truck pulls up and there's this like dead body. And is holding a chainsaw somehow. That's the sound of the chainsaw. And then we see through the magic of Sawyer family puppeteering, there's like a black cloth thingy behind it. And who but our old friend from
It was actually 12 years ago.
Mr. Leatherface Sawyer, and the puppet buddy, chainsaws the two guys. And it gets recorded on the radio. There's a chili cook-off. So this guy wins. Oh, and they're covering it, the radio people. So Stretch and her nice coworker.
He builds a fry house. I built you a little fry house. LG.
So the people, unbeknownst to them, they picked the chili that we later learn is people. Would you eat people? Would you eat one bite? How much money would you need to get paid? What if it tasted good? What if it won the chili cook-off? What if you went to the chili cook-off, ate it, voted, and then found out? What if you were there? What would you have done? Tell me. And then he finds out about the radio thing, and then he says, to his kids, go deal with this. And so then there's this guy, played by Dennis Hopper.
He's sad.
He is related to Franklin and the other girl. He is pissed, obviously, that his relatives were murdered. And so he gets in touch with Stretch. He's like, "Oh, you recorded it. You got to play it for me." And she's like, "I can't. That's illegal." But then she does on the radio at midnight, like when the night is ending. And then she plays the Star Spangled Banner. And then, I am not hyperbolizing. It is one of the scariest horror movie scenes. So why are we being like it's a comedy? There is no laughter to be found, my friends, in this upcoming scene. Suddenly, a man is sitting there on the couch, and he's creepy looking. And he's wearing a creepy black wig, and he keeps taking a coat hanger, like a wire coat hanger, it's smushed, and hitting it with a lighter, lighting it, the end, and then sticking it under and scratching something, and then picking something off of it and eating it. That's gross. She's obviously freaked out because he's scary. And then he's like,
You're my fave DJ.
"I want to get a tour of the radio station." And she's like, "Okay, but it's going to end with the exit sign." And she goes like, like, "Rubber man, here's a plant, here's a flag, here's the other thing." And then, like a lamp, he like smashes it. And then she's like, "There's the exit sign." And he goes,
EXIT.
and then she's like, "Good night." And he's like, "Good night." And then she goes, "Good night." Then he goes, "Good night," because she wants him to leave. Then he goes, "What's in that room?" And she goes, "It's the record vault." And we look at it, and there's a bunch of records and stuff.
Suddenly bursting through comes Leatherface.
And the guy goes, "That's my little brother, Bubba." Is his name Bubba, or is that a nickname? Or is it his name? Because I want to call him that now. Oh, the light, it's a lot of red light. Now, Eaten Alive fans out there, if you haven't seen Eaten Alive, it's on a bunch of different streaming services. It's on like HBO Max and Tubi for free with ads and something else too. Eaten Alive is great. It is the movie that Tobe Hooper made after Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1. It involves a creepy hotel and a killer, either crocodile or alligator. Sorry, I forget which one. It's a good movie. But it uses a lot of like dramatic, it's like a play, like red lighting. And then so in this scene in TCSM, how do you make an M? 2, there's the red light on creepy brother. We later find out that he's called Chop Top. I'm sure he has a name. We don't hear it. Or maybe we do later. I don't know. And then there's like a chase through the record vault with chainsaw. And it's scary. And oh yeah, the
LG.
GT guy comes in with coffees, and I'm sad because he's bringing coffee and you look at the clock and it's 12:30, so all this is taking a half hour. And they never get to drink the coffee. He just was bringing her coffee. And he gets smashed in the head with a hammer by metal. Oh yeah, his wig comes off and he has a big metal plate in his head. And so he's like dying slowly, but still alive, the GT guy. Meanwhile, so Bubba is like chasing her around. And I hate this part, and she realizes, she's like, "You're not mad." She's like, "Are you mad at me? Or you're not mad at me?" And then he's like, "No." And then she like tries to like mentally trick him because he like likes her, she figures out.
All right. So he comes at her with the chainsaw and he starts like rubbing it on her crotch area sexually, like, and she has to pretend like she likes it. And she goes, "Oh, you're so good," over and over. And it's just more upsetting than if he like chopped her head off, I feel, because of, you know, the things women have to do to be nice, to survive. But she does get to stay alive.
Then he goes out and the brother's like, "Did you get her?" And he's like, he lied. Like, that's some humanity. I'm sorry. I know he actually wants to like kidnap her and assault her and bad things, but think of how he is in every single other one of those movies. Does he ever show this type of humanity again, of being like, I'm gonna lie and say I killed her because I want her to live and I spared her life? I'm just saying. And she's like Lefty is the guy who's Dennis Hopper. And she's like, "Lefty, I'm trying to get in touch with you." And there's this cool scene before that where he goes to a place called Cut Right Chainsaws. And he's like picking out chainsaws and he buys 2 of them, a red one and a yellow one. But then he shows up and it's too late because all of this bad stuff has already happened. And then gets taken away. This like underground. Oh, she goes with That's what happened. She goes with Lefty, and she gets taken away, and he tries to come to her in this underground thing with all these. So there's all these things like this, and there's like an underground area, and there's like a trap, and Stretch has fallen through it, and Lefty hands something to her and says, "Grab onto this." And it's like a skeleton person arm with like a dead hand. And it's like, "Oh, hold the dead hand." And she can't. And then it breaks. And then does he end up down there? Things get a little murky. So down in the passage underneath layer, it's enormous, right? Did I say that already? The set piece for this is just, you can just imagine getting to go there in Texas, where in Texas, and to get to walk through this giant set and to see It goes on and on and on, and it's just shot really coolly with more of those like lighting effects, the red and a little green. So body parts, and oh god, the part that I talked about with, I'm just gonna keep calling him Bubba because I like it. Bubba finding Stretch alive and dancing around with her and taking the face of her friend of GT and slapping it on hers. And can you even imagine what that would be like? I don't know if it would stay. I kind of feel like it's heavy and it would like slide off, but it's stuck. Maybe her face was sweaty, and he puts his cowboy hat, the guy's cowboy hat, on her, and then like ties her up. And then LG, he's alive, and his face skin's cut off because she's wearing it. That's not why it was cut off. That's what's going on. And he's alive, and he's like dying because you can see like his ribs and his insides because he got hammered. I think his head would be more bashed in, but whatever. And he's trying so hard to cut the rope off of her so she can be free. And then he dies, and then she very respectfully replaces his face skin back on in the hat, and it's sad. And because he made a fry house. There always has to be a dinner, right? Cannibals, they gotta eat. And sort of it's like Bubba Leatherface, BL, showing off his girlfriend who is Stretched. Like she's knocked out and she wakes up and she's like tied to the chair like at the table. And it's all like beautifully put together skeleton furniture, a la the first one. But it's like a step beyond, like that's really good. There's like the feathers and stuff in the first one. This is like even more advanced because there's full furniture. In the Czech Republic, there is it's basically, it's a name, but it's like the bone church, and church made of bones. All these people died and they didn't know what to do with their bones, so they made this beautiful, ornate, like chapel. I went there. I don't have pictures. Why don't I have pictures?
But here are some pictures of it I Googled. Isn't it cool?
But yeah, Bone Church reminded me of that, but in a not respectful way. Resourceful. So she's sitting in the bone chair, probably not comfortable, bone table. They use it all though. They don't waste. And then they're like, oh, we gotta get Grandpa. He's 137 years old. And so they go get him, and he's alive. And then they basically present Stretch to him for him to kill with a hammer. So it's interesting that it's Chainsaw Massacre, but there's far less actual chainsaw massacring when more people are threatened or killed with hammer smashing. And they hand it to this scene. This part goes on for a while on purpose, and it's so uncomfortable. And so poor old Grandpa, well, not poor old, I mean, he started all of this, right? So Grandpa has the hammer, and they pull down Stretch, and they put her head like in a basket, right, or something. And they hand it, and they're like, "You get the first hit." And he's so old and frail, like he can't do it. And he drops it, and then they pick it up and put it back in his hand, and then he goes to do it. He drops it, and they do this several times. And then he gets a little bonkin, and I forget what happens after that, but she gets freed. Then there's like chasing, and there is a very cool two chainsaw fight. Stretch gets away, and she's like running and going, and then she ends up in this other part of their surroundings, and there is the body of a woman that's just like decayed into like the rocks, and there's like bone all around. Honestly, is she alive? I think it's Grandma. For all we know, she could be alive, but there is a chainsaw like affixed to her she's holding. And so, okay, what are the chances that this thing would still work? I've never operated a chainsaw. What are the chances that this chainsaw, after however much time, however long this woman's body was there, would still work? But you know, she takes the chance and she pulls the thing and she pulls the thing and she pulls the thing. And then top brother guy is coming. He's so scary. And then it starts working, and then you really want to see him get rammed through with it, right? Because he's so scary. Oh yeah, and right before that, like, Lefty gets Bubba Leatherface through the gut and his guts come out. Yet somehow he manages to survive. Good for him. He only killed 2 people, the annoying people in the beginning in this whole movie, if we're keeping track. Not a lot of massacring, just attempted. This is the Texas attempted chainsaw massacre 2. She just kind of grazes him, but it turns out they're like in an opening and they're like up on top of a cliff, and he falls off. So he's grazed and he falls off, and like hopefully he dies. We don't ever see him again. At the end, like, here's poor Stretch, like, freaking out, obviously, like, traumatized, like, still holding the thing, and she kind of does, like, you know, there's this, he does, by the way, Bubba Leatherface does this, I counted 4 times in the movie, so she does, like, kind of her own version of it, and the movie ends with her both victorious and completely freaked out, as one would be, holding up the chainsaw, and then it ends, credits. So yeah, that is Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.